Today on
Doomed!
Well, that was quite the Democratic debate. Bernie Sanders, Amy Klobuchar, Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, and making his debut on the stage, Michael Bloomberg, in an all-out brawl. That's right, I'm cutting a wrestling promo, folks. Because that's basically what happened tonight, and you know what? I loved every minute of it. This is what I've been calling for since the very beginning of these debates. The moderators needed to let the candidates go at it. Let me pull myself up on the feed here. We are live now on the show. 1 second. Bloop. What's up, everybody? Welcome to tonight's live episode of Doomed. We are discussing the Nevada Democratic debate, which was just live on not CNN. This one was on MSNBC. It ended about 45 minutes ago. And this was the debate that I've been basically begging for the past, how long have we been doing these debates? When was the first one? Like last summer? The moderators thankfully finally let the candidates go at it. All these other debates, I feel like it was becoming so repetitive. Every post-debate show I've done, it's been like, and I will say the one I did not see, I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I did not see the last one in New Hampshire because I was doing the live Michael Brooks show in Brooklyn that night. So I don't know from the clips if this was what the moderators let them do then. But tonight really was, even from the clips I've seen in New Hampshire, really an all-out brawl between the candidates. And which is necessary. The idea that we don't let these guys respond to each other is just pointless. What's the point of a debate when we're just going, okay, now you talk for 2 minutes. Okay, now you get a minute to respond. Okay, stop. Let's move on to the next part. No, this is how it should be, honestly. And I think you got to see tonight who is basically where everyone thinks they are. Let's start with what I think was the most, clearly, the most eye-opening moment of the night. And that was the last question. The candidates were asked, if no one shows up at the Democratic convention at the end of the primaries, and no one has the majority, no one hits that majority of delegates, should the person with the most delegates, meaning the person who wins the popular vote, outright win the nomination? And every candidate except for Bernie Sanders said no, they should go through the process where, other candidates could combine delegates, and superdelegates could then jump in and throw in their vote to sway who the nominee is. Only Bernie Sanders said the popular vote should be the winner of the popular vote should be the nominee. This is what that says. Everyone tonight just admitted that Bernie Sanders is going to win the primaries. That's what that was. Every single candidate, Warren, Bloomberg, Buttigieg, Biden, Klobuchar, that was on the record them saying Bernie's going to win. The thought process here is that they're all going to stay in, and the vote totals are continued to be broken up in the way they are right now. That's to steal a line from Buttigieg, that's a high hope. Because what you're going to see, I think, now I don't know if it's going to mean that he gets the majority of delegates that he's going to need, but what you're going to see is as Bernie Sanders continues to rack up wins, people are going to flee other candidates. It's that simple. People who are undecided, why are they undecided? It's because they don't have a strong feeling for any of the candidates. You know what's going to help them pick a candidate? They're going to want to back a winner. That's how these things work. So, I think supporters of Bernie Sanders need to basically buckle in here and get ready for a wild ride. Perhaps if it's becoming clear that he's going to win the primaries but not hit the number of delegates needed to outright win the nomination, start saving up your money for the plane tickets to the DNC, the Democratic National Convention this year. So that was an eye-opening moment. Let me now. Let's talk about. Let's get this out of the way. Not because I want to get out of the way, because I think I actually think this was an important part of the night. And when I say out of the way is, I think it should be talked about up front. But that last question really stuck in my mind, so I wanted to talk about that first. Let's talk about Michael Bloomberg. If you've been following me on Twitter at Matt Binder, you know I've been stripping out these videos I've been researching showing Michael Bloomberg's terrible, horrible history. I am a lifelong New Yorker, born and raised in Queens, New York. I grew up under the Michael Bloomberg regime. I know people whose lives were truly affected by stop and frisk, by Muslim surveillance, by the way Michael Bloomberg treated, and these are his own words, the NYPD as his own personal army. There was a real sort of police state, really, under the Michael Bloomberg terms, especially that last term. And he is a guy who has so far in his life been able to run as a Republican or run as an independent and get away with his history, because he hasn't really had to face the scrutiny that he faced tonight. So I've been putting out these videos, and I first want to thank good old doomed guest, former doomed guest. He's going to be back on the show soon, I hope. Benjamin Dixon. Great show with the Benjamin Dixon Show. I've been a fan of his for a very long time. I remember Ben coming up on YouTube during when I was at the Majority Report. He's been on my radar for a long time. And I want to thank Ben Dixon because I've been collecting these Bloomberg clips, honestly, since he pretty much confirmed he was gonna jump into the race. But we wanted to do research. I wanted to find out more. I didn't want to just throw these clips out there. These clips had to me, have a news peg to make them relevant. And Ben Dixon found that he was the first to find that audio that Michael Bloomberg didn't want released from his 2015 Aspen Institute interview about his really how he views young Black and Latino men in New York City. Probably how he views them generally, to be honest. How he felt that you could pretty much Xerox their description, hand them out to the police force, hand those sheets out to the police force, and basically throw up each one of them against the wall and frisk them. So Ben found that, put it out there, and I feel like a lot of people felt that, okay, Bloomberg is now rising in the polls. Biden's dropping, and there's a percentage of his supporters who are jumping to Bloomberg. There were polls when Ben Dixon found that clip that showed Bloomberg actually gaining with the Black Democratic base. And so Ben Dixon releases that audio, and I feel like a lot of people were like, okay, now's the time. So I have this archive of clips. I'm still honestly going through them. Some of them are clips I've collected throughout the years. I've been covering Bloomberg since, at least 2010. I started working at the Majority Report in 2011. And that was a video and audio show. So that's when I actually started collecting these clips. So I have, people are like, oh, how are you getting these clips? Where are you getting them from? Some of these clips I don't think are online anymore, to be quite honest with you. I think and maybe someone who doesn't even realize they have them probably somewhere, I might be one of the few, if not only people who have some of the clips I have. And I haven't released a lot of them still. I think these are important clips to show Michael Bloomberg's history. Personally, and this is me personally, if it came down to it, I think there's an argument, that you could begrudgingly vote if you're a Democrat for most of the candidates who are on that stage. They all have records that should be scrutinized. They all have bad history, but in some ways, each one of them, I think you look at and say on certain issues, over the years, it's become clear that they have changed. Bloomberg is not that. Honestly, and this is coming from someone who clearly supports Bernie Sanders, and I've criticized all the candidates, Bernie Sanders as well, but I've especially obviously criticized candidates who don't reflect my values and views. I've criticized Biden, I've criticized Buttigieg, I've criticized Klobuchar, I've even criticized Warren where I think she's fallen. I think there's a case to be made where I can see myself, if it absolutely came down to it, just like I did for Hillary in 2016, because she was the better of, in my view, to be quite honest with you, and I think if you lay it all out there, it's the truth. She was the better candidate compared to Trump. I mean, it's just undeniable to me. I think that case could be made for every single candidate. I don't know if you could argue that about Bloomberg. He is, in many ways, just as bad as Trump. There are a few areas where, obviously, he is actually not as bad as Trump. Climate change, for one. Immigration, although I have clips of him being very bad at immigration, and his immigration stance is basically, we need to let immigrants into the country and stay in the country, because the really smart ones, we don't want going home and bringing the technology or business that they founded over there. We want to keep their money here. I mean, from a moral and humane perspective, to me, that should be the main reason for caring about immigrants and not deporting them from the country and letting them stay here. That's the main issue for me. But still, even compared to Trump, obviously, that's him being better than Trump on that issue. But then there's the question of, do you really want to throw it all away? Because voting for Bloomberg would do that. If it came down to Bloomberg versus Trump, we're basically saying that our system is made for the very rich and wealthy. And that you can buy your way in and take over. And people will be forced to pick one of you. And it would practically open the doors to basically say that, if you're a Biden supporter, if you're a Klobuchar supporter, if you're a Warren supporter, if you're a Buttigieg supporter, that, hey, those people, they might even be closed out from now on. Because what's to stop the Jeff Bezoses, the Bill Gates, what's to stop the Mark Zuckerbergs, what's to stop them from going, hey, we can do this too? That's all we needed to do? I was afraid my public perception would be bad and I would hurt my company. Bloomberg just proved that's not the case. We would be in a really bad way. And also, it would be really bad for Democrats to, even though he's better on some issues, it would be really bad for Democrats to vote for someone who is just as bad on their history with women. Sexual harassment claims with his company, misogynistic and sexist statements from the candidate himself, a history of wanting to cut services meant for the elderly and the poorest of the poor, people who live in poverty, for working class families. I mean, it would really be a slap in the face to everything that the Democrats claim they fight for. It would basically be a slap in the face to every argument they made to prove they're the anti-Trump. And I know what's going to happen after this debate performance. Let's get to that. Oh, let me actually say, so these clips, I will be releasing more. This has taken a lot of my time, so please, if you could support this show, You're also supporting every endeavor I do. Patreon.com/MattBinder. You can give whatever you want. My minimum tier is $5. That gets you the bonus podcast and all the other bonuses that I have prepared and anything coming forward and coming up. But if you can't afford to give that much, perfectly fine. Patreon.com/MattBinder. Give what you can give. If you can't afford to give anything, also totally get it. Please, if you can't afford to give money to me, don't do it. But you can help in other ways. Spread the word about what I'm doing. Tell people about this podcast. YouTube.com/MattBinder for the live stream. DoomedPod.com for the audio version of the show that goes up immediately after the live stream every episode. Also, tell people to follow me on Twitter, @MattBinder. Tell them to follow me on Facebook. Just search Matt Binder in the Facebook search bar. Follow me on Instagram. I'm not really active there because I don't really pay much. I haven't really built up a following on Instagram, but if there's a following there, I'll be more active there. @MattBinder there. So, thank you for your support for all the Patreon subscribers who already helped me out. I will name them shortly, but let's get back to Mike Bloomberg. So, Mike Bloomberg did atrocious at tonight's debate. All credit to, and these are the people who really, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, they were relentless on Bloomberg all night, the both of them. They really did a great job. Klobuchar and Biden also had some great assists in going after Bloomberg. Pete Buttigieg did not. There was a moment where all four of them, Klobuchar, Biden, Bernie, and Warren, were knocking Bloomberg. They realized the threat he poses, not just to their campaigns, but I think all in all, a lot of them don't like how he got on the stage. And they were all working in tandem right at the beginning of the debate to criticize him. And then Buttigieg ruined that anti-Bloomberg solidarity. He went after Bernie, went after Klobuchar. I don't think he even really touched by Bloomberg tonight, Buttigieg. But Bloomberg did horrible. Terrible. And this is my read on this, what I was alluding to before, but let me get to it more fully now. I tweeted this out as well. Bloomberg, throughout his career, now I've pored over his mayoral debates, and I'm talking about his first one in 2001 against Mark Green, when he was a Republican. He was a Republican in that debate, and in his term there, when he won the mayoral election that year. And then in his later terms, in the third term that he had, he was an independent. But again, both times he was able to avoid scrutiny. Because in a general election debate, which is what those were, he's able to defend his terrible policies and his terrible positions. I have him defending in his debate with Mark Green in 2001, again as Bloomberg the Republican, defending his comment that said any rape allegations would require a third-party witness to be taken seriously. He was able to defend that. He was also able to defend his prior views on how domestic abuse should be categorized in the eyes of the law. And that's because in that general election debate, he's speaking to the broad electorate. He's speaking to Republicans. He's speaking to Democrats. He's speaking to independents. He's never had to face the scrutiny of a modern-day Democratic base. He was up there for the majority of this debate looking like a lost puppy because he did not know how to interject when there was openings. He did not know how to defend himself when he was being attacked. And that's because he has been able to get by saying, I defend stop and frisk. I defend Muslim surveillance. I defend my right-wing leaning views on social issues when it comes to women, when it comes to trans rights. Even though Bloomberg was all in for same-sex marriage early on, that's great. That's a fairly broad position in New York City. You don't get kudos for being for same-sex marriage in New York City early on. So here he was, having to defend the sexual harassment claims, the sexist and misogynistic remark claims, and he couldn't do it. He was up there dropping lines that would work maybe in a Republican debate, maybe in an old general election debate about how the president is a manager and we need someone with managerial experience. That does not play in a Democratic debate. I mean, he was out of his element. And he tanked. He did horrible. There's no one who will say tonight that Bloomberg won that debate or even did passable. But what you're going to see is he's got money still. He's a billionaire, a multi-billionaire, one of the richest people in the world. He's going to up those TV ads. And the question I posed online, when everyone was saying, wow, Bloomberg's getting destroyed, I said it too, but then I posed this question. How many people will watch tonight's debate? How much news coverage will tonight's debate get compared to the massive TV campaign ad buys Bloomberg is doing? Because it's very possible that Bloomberg will be able to overshadow his bad debate performance, excuse me, with TV ads. He can just push out all the coverage by just flooding the markets with television advertisements showing him and Obama as best buddies. We'll see what happens. It's again, we're in a new world here, folks. I don't think people really get it. There's a reason why I'm taking time to research Bloomberg more so than any other candidate to find these old clips. There is we're basically in uncharted territory. Even Donald Trump didn't do this. You have to understand, Donald Trump, he basically took over the Republican Party by just saying racist and sexist and horrific anti-immigrant xenophobic remarks. And the Republican base took off their masks and started hooting and hollering, saying, "We love this. This is us." He didn't need to spend his massive amounts of money. It certainly helped him take off, but he did not spend anywhere near as much as Bloomberg is doing right now. And then there was a point where I think Trump was barely even putting any of his own money, if at all, any of his money into it. Because he realized he got the Republican base behind him. Trump basically came in, took a tiny shortcut by being rich and famous, but took over the Republican Party fair and square pretty much when it comes to just garnering the support of these people of these people naturally through what he was saying and his positions. Bloomberg is uncharted territory. Here's a guy who is literally just blanketing the media with pro-Bloomberg advertisements to the point where he shot up to second place in the polls with never having garnered a single vote, with not having a single delegate, with never before tonight participating in a single debate. I mean, his campaign had the audacity, the nerve to come into tonight's debate with the strategy that this race is down to Bloomberg, Bernie, and Trump. And if Klobuchar and Buttigieg and Biden and Warren and Steyer and any other person still in this race wants to make sure Bernie or Trump doesn't win, then they need to get out of the way, drop out so their supporters will vote for Bloomberg. The arrogance in not having a single vote or delegate when some of the people you're telling to drop out do and have been participating in this process for a year is off the charts. The arrogance to assume that all those voters who are for those candidates would just come to his campaign. Save me, Michael Bloomberg. You're my only hope. Ludicrous. The polling even shows that is just crazy thinking. In fact, the NBC poll that just came out showed that in a one-on-one race, Bernie Bloomberg in the Democratic primaries, Bernie wins by, I think it was 20 points. He's not going to go away because of a bad debate performance. We'll see the polls. Maybe people have really tuned in because of how this primary is going, and he'll drop. He'll take a hit. But until he drops out, that money's not going away. And he's always going to be a second choice to bleed delegates from other candidates. So until he says, I'm out of this, I'm telling you, Bloomberg is a threat. Do not take him lightly. He's the only candidate on that stage who can get away with bad performances because he's got the money to make it all go away. Please. And I'm saying this after, was talking to people who, in private messages and private chats who I've been talking to throughout this whole process about, people I've made friends with over the years working in politics, about what their thoughts on that. And I was like, I feel like I don't want to downplay this, but Bloomberg's doing terribly. I feel that too, but I'm saying better to be safe than sorry if you don't want Bloomberg to win. Take him as seriously as he's taking his billions, pretty much. So let's get to this because I think this is important. Warren had a great night in that first half, especially. If you were to ask me who won the debate, I would say it's hard to say who won the debate. I say Warren won the first hour. I think Bernie won the second hour. I think Klobuchar had some okay moments, and then she had some really bad moments. I think Biden just got lost in the shuffle, like he usually does in these debates, which he cannot afford to do, so bad for Biden. I think Buttigieg completely overplayed his hand. I think he went after Amy with some really sexist tropes. I think he went after Bernie with some ageist remarks. And I think we've already seen that those things do not play on stage. People want to see them go at it on policy, on disagreements. They don't want to see the sniping on attributes that these candidates literally cannot help. I think Buttigieg came off very bad tonight. I think he thought he was coming in from a place of confidence, and I think it came across just not likable. I think Bloomberg obviously had the worst night. I don't think he was good on anything. I think he had a slightly positive moment when they were talking climate because he at least believes in climate change, and he does have some strong beliefs on taking it on climate being a serious issue. Although, as he said, he doesn't want to take any of the important and drastic steps to actually deal with it. What time is it? How long we got here? I want to open up. If anyone wants to call in, Doomed Live on Skype. I'll take one or two calls. This is only about tonight's debate. Really short. Maybe no one calls. That's fine. I should have mentioned the calls at the beginning of the episode. I didn't because I forgot. But Doomed Live on Skype. Only questions about tonight's debate. Only comments about tonight's debate. We'll take a few calls. I think Warren came out of the gate swinging. Her attack on Bloomberg about his sexist comments at the very top and the harassment at the very top were great. And it was the perfect follow-up for Bernie's opening remarks, because it both attacked Bloomberg, Bernie from the policy perspective, Warren from Bloomberg's personality, from his person, from his history. It was a great 1-2 punch. And then Klobuchar joined in, Biden joined in. It was a great moment, and I think Warren also had an extremely strong moment with the NDAs. Basically, letting Bloomberg skate by on avoiding the fact that he won't release the women who signed NDAs, who claimed they were sexually harassed. Speak out. He won't drop those NDAs. Warren pushed him on it, and he said in front of the whole world that he wouldn't let those NDAs drop. Fantastic moment. What Warren consistently does, that I've criticized her over and over and over again. She can't help herself with the wonkery, and it kills her every time. And it honestly makes me, for a long time I said she's my easy second choice. And you know what? Even though her as a presidential candidate has really made me very disappointed in her in many ways, she's still my strong second choice. If for any reason Bernie Sanders suddenly lost or dropped out or whatever, but she thinks she has to be a wonk and explain these policy positions, and it consistently comes off as her not defending the bold plans, because basically her policy positions and the wonkery is a step back from defending the bold plans, because she tries to pull back from pushing for the bolder version of those plans. And she did that incessantly in that second half of the debate, and when she does it, it really makes me disappointed in her, because I know that Senator Warren is better on those issues than presidential candidate Warren. It gets at me, because I've followed Elizabeth Warren for years. I attended a New York City event for her when I was working for the Majority Report, when she wasn't a senator, when she was going up against Scott Brown to become senator. And when she does these things, I don't know what she's thinking. And it has really, it agitates me, because as you can tell, usually you're most disappointed and you get angry the most when you like someone and you want them to do well. I wish this race was a Bernie Warren competition, but it's not going to be. No matter how well Warren did tonight, barring some extreme circumstance, which is enough for her to stay in the race for now, to be honest, at least to see how you do in Nevada and South Carolina, and depending on how you do there, maybe Super Tuesday. I get it so far. But barring some sort of miraculous comeback, the likes of which we've never seen in history before, Warren is not in a winning position. It pains me to say so. I'm sure Bernie supporters who listen to my show, as a fellow Bernie supporter, will be saying, I can't how can you, I don't like her anymore because of the Bernie said a woman couldn't be president comments, because of various other things. Listen to the archives of this podcast, doomwithpod.com. I've been through it all before. I've criticized her and all that before. Strong, pointed criticism on those things. She's still better than the other candidates minus Bernie Sanders. And that's why it's so disappointing to me. Because this could have been a Bernie Warren race. And truthfully, she has no one to blame but herself for dropping in the polls. Because there's a direct correlation between her dropping in the polls and when she decided to pull back from her bolder policy positions on issues like healthcare and Medicare for all, because Buttigieg pushed her for the details, and she had to let the inner wonk in her take over. I mean, I don't know what else to say. That's what happened there. It's disappointing. Truly, it's disappointing. Senator Warren would have been better on that, I think, than presidential candidate Warren. Oh yeah, I forgot. You give super chats. Don't forget them super chats. If you're watching the live stream now, you could just leave a comment, drop your one-off donation. I really appreciate it. Jeez, we might not even have time for calls. My bad for not putting it out there earlier. Well, let me get to those super chat comments now. Renee with a super chat comment. All Dudley Do-Rights are base. I don't know what he's saying there. Sorry, Renee. Hot Mustard Gas with the super chat. Thank you, Hot Mustard Gas. Bloomberg got wrecked by everyone. The moderators are still trash, but at least Bloomberg got what he had coming. I'm a Bernie guy, but Warren killed. Yes, Warren was superb going up against Bloomberg. And the reason why Bernie won that second half is because Bernie came out, just like how Warren came out strong in that first half. Warren got bogged down by the wonkery in that second half. Bernie then took over and came out strong. The personal moment for me, and I think the Warren moments were great, but personally for me, the greatest moment of that debate tonight was when Bloomberg said that he earned his billions and that's why he deserved his money. And he said that in reference to how letting workers have a place in the boardroom would be a disaster. And Bernie came back with, to me, the moment of tonight's debate, where you think you earn those billions, you don't think that your workers are the ones who worked hard for that money that you now have, and you don't want to give them a seat at the table. You don't want to give them a incentive by letting them own a portion of the company so they see direct monetary benefit for when they do work that makes the company financially do better. I mean, to me, that was the moment. That is the moment that encapsulates everything that this is about. This was a class warfare debate. Even, you have to understand, even Warren's NDA critiques, her NDA comments on Bloomberg, it was about sexual harassment and Bloomberg's sexist history. But it was a class warfare debate. Because Bloomberg has the power to silence those women, pay them off, force them to sign these NDAs. I believe Bernie or Warren even mentioned this. There is a power dynamic about the money Bloomberg has, about the money Donald Trump has. And that's what tonight was all about. It was also pretty incredible to watch Amy Klobuchar continue to just hate Pete Buttigieg. My God. I don't know if there's anyone on that stage who dislikes another person on that stage more than Amy Klobuchar dislikes Pete Buttigieg. It is truthfully a sight to behold. I mean, I don't recall seeing anything like that between any of the other candidates. It's just and then Buttigieg hitting her on her vote for English. I didn't even know about that one. I mean, I might have come across it in passing because the bill sounds familiar, and I believe she's the only one who voted for it, so I don't know who else I would have come across that for. But my God, were those two going at it? They hate each other. I mean, and they're basically fighting for the same group of voters. It was just wow. What a night with all of them, really. I hope the next debates are like this. They need to be. We don't got time to waste on bullshit as we get this close to the major primaries. Excuse me. Let's see. Let me I want to do this now. I don't want to forget it, or I don't want to leave it to the end, because these people mean a lot to me. Patreon.com/MattBinder. If you can support the show, become a patron today at patreon.com/MattBinder. You not only support this show, you support all my endeavors, Bloomberg clips included, anything else I've got planned coming up. I want to do more short, standalone 2, 3, 4 minute YouTube clips. I'm planning on doing more. Got some news to break too that I'm gonna break exclusively for this show, or via the YouTube video that I've been working on involving the primaries. These are the people who make it all happen, and you could join these people at patreon.com/MattBinder. These are my patrons. Thank you all. You make this show possible. Abigail T, Adam Q, Alan B, Adam H. Adam Q, Alan B, Amanda H, Andrew C, Andrew H, Angela, Ari R, Ben, Benji, Bobby M, Brosnan, Champagne Kami, Chris F, Christine H, Colin R, Connor R, Cracker Barrel, Cyber Snowstorm, Cynthia J, Dan K, Dan M, Dank Uger, Dave K, David Z, Doug H, Dragon Slayer, Eugene B, Fraz K, FTW All Day, George A, Greg D, Grim L, Ian Curtis J, Igor D, Jack D, Jameson Test, Janelle A, Jasmine H, Jeremy M, John B, John S, Jonathan B, Jonathan L, Joseph R, Joyce M, Justin S, Katie S, Kaushal, Laputin Machine, Lisa D, Mariah, Mark S, Matt Z, Max W, User Me, Melissa M, Mitch V, Michael B, Michael J, Michael M, Mr. Danks, Nicole A, Nam Denet, Null Style, Odeth, Penelope D, Custer, Rad Dad Redemption, Ryan, Scott R, Sean H, Stephen R, Stephen S, Steve A, Struggle Session, TM, Tammy G, Terrence R, Thaddeus A, This Is Not Pizza, Tina M, Todd K, Tom M, Why That Tie Guy, Utopian, Zachary K, and last but certainly not least, Zoe G. Thank you guys so much. So let me read some comments here. I think I hit the major parts of the debate. I have some more notes I guess we could get to if there's time, but I'd rather read some comments here. You know what? Let's give the rest of this show actually to patrons. Patreon.com/MattBinder. Folks, I will be live following the Nevada caucus as the results start to come in. Not as they start to come in, actually. As the results start to show a result that appears to be the final result. It's different from the caucus. If you guys remember, when I went live and did the special post-Iowa caucus show, the show was basically about all the shit that happened that made the results not come out that night. Stark difference from the New Hampshire show I did, post New Hampshire primary show I did, where we were able to discuss the results and what they meant. I'm hoping it's more like the New Hampshire show than the Iowa show on Saturday night. We will see. Follow me at Matt Binder on Twitter, Instagram. Follow me at Matt Binder on Facebook. Search in the bar, in the Facebook search bar. Subscribe to youtube.com/Matt Binder for the YouTube channel. doomedpod.com for the audio podcast. Subscribe on iTunes, on Google Play, wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave a review on iTunes. Tell all your friends about the show. Tell your favorite podcasters and YouTubers that you want to see me on their show and them on my show. Be happy to have anyone on this show. Right-wingers, my fellow leftists, everyone in between. Been doing a lot of extra content for you guys. I'm planning on more. You're going to really want to stay tuned for the Bloomberg clips I have. I'll be posting them on Twitter, breaking them on Twitter. Also, I'm going to post them all here on the YouTube channel and create an archive for you all to search easily. I think YouTube's the best place for it because you could create a playlist. I got some more coverage. I'm telling you guys, I got a good story coming up on all this that I haven't seen anyone else cover. Patreon.com/Matt Binder. Once again, YouTube.com/Matt Binder. Subscribe to the channel there. I think I've repeated myself, but you gotta repeat yourself. Look, it works for Bloomberg with his TV ads, See you guys Saturday night in the post-Nevada caucus live stream show I'll do. Live stream watchers and Patreon subscribers, stick around. I'm going to read some comments for the Patreon-only show. Everyone else, see you all next time on Doomed. All right, we're back. Let's do this. Excuse me. Jeez. What a way to start the patron show. You guys are getting a cough up front. Sorry, folks, but this just... I've been battling this cough. Who knows what's wrong with me? I hope it's nothing. I should probably see a doctor at this point. I'll go for all of you. I know you guys care about me. Let's go to the comments. Oh, I see the Cayman Islands Bloomberg video that I'm pretty sure I'm the only person that's got that. I see that's taking off. Bloomberg in 2010 defending his Cayman Islands investments. Hundreds of millions of dollars in Cayman Island investments. uh, let me pull up the comments. Sorry, I got distracted, but I had to see it's people are. All right, Tyler. Bloomberg served as a good example of why we need fucking socialism, and at every point gave Bernie the perfect case in point. But it still seems like the Bloomberg bullshit is working. That's why we gotta stay relentless. I'm telling you, Bloomberg is the threat right now. Barring a miraculous comeback from any of those candidates, no matter how Bloomberg does in the debate, he will be able to drown out that feeling that you have that he failed. Bloomberg is the threat right now in the presidential primary. And quite honestly, if you are a Biden staffer, if you are a Biden supporter, if you are a Warren staffer, if you are a Warren supporter, if you are a Klobuchar staffer or a supporter of hers, etc., with all the candidates, regardless of your feelings on the issues, you've been up there doing this with all the other candidates. There should be some sort of mutual respect in terms of how you guys got there, the work you've put in. There should be a solid front, a united front from all these candidates, and if not from the candidates, the supporters and campaign staff themselves, who are the people doing the work. There should be a united front against what Bloomberg's trying to do. And I hope that if Bloomberg actually did knock out any of those candidates, I hope those other staff, those staffers and supporters would realize to get behind the person who is best in the best place to defeat Bloomberg and Trump. And that right now is Bernie Sanders. So please don't let his debate performance fool you. Maybe we'll all be surprised, and the Dem base will have all seen this debate, or the word will get out via clips and social media, and local news coverage, and Bloomberg can spend all of his money, but people will already know he's got sexism issues and racism issues and all sorts of issues. Maybe. But again, better safe than sorry. And this should be a united front. I'm telling you. I'm saying right now, if it came down to it, I could pull that. If some miraculous comeback happens for Biden, Klobuchar, Warren, easily Warren. But I could pull that lever. I understand who is worse in these scenarios. I did it for Hillary in 2016 in the general election. It was an easy choice for me, Hillary or Trump, but not even close. I'm telling you. There should be that united front here. If not from the candidates themselves, from the people who support them and are running those campaigns. That's right, I'm telling you. I could envision a scenario where if Biden all of a sudden runs away with it, Biden versus Trump, easy choice. Criticize Biden on a ton of things. He does not line up with my views. I think he discounts the struggles millennials and young people go through. I think he has a terrible history on race and on entitlements and welfare. But then there are areas in all those things where I feel like if you truly take a look at it, again, up against Bernie, no question. The guy's not even got a record close to him. But against Trump, I'll put it with Biden. I see the guy has changed in a good direction in a sliver of those areas, and it's a real change over the years. Not this Bloomberg all of a sudden saying, "Oh, the day before it becomes an issue, I've all of a sudden changed my views on stop and frisk," after literally supporting it completely up until yesterday. No. And I'm literally telling you that being as open as possible here. I will easily be able to vote. It'll be a struggle in terms of not being happy that it's him, but against Trump, easily pull that lever for Biden. No problem. Bloomberg versus Trump, I will have a real hard time. A real hard time saying it's worth it. Maybe at the end, the Supreme Court will push me to just having to pull that lever for the Dem candidate. But I just can't envision it, to be honest. It would be, I've never done it before. I've always, for president at the very least, voted for the Democratic candidate. I voted for Kerry. Voted for Obama twice. Voted for Hillary. These were easy decisions. In the primaries, they weren't easy decisions because I supported someone else. But in the general election, easy decisions. Funny thing is, there was one time in my entire life where I didn't vote in the top level ticket. And it was when Michael Bloomberg bought his third term. There were no third terms for mayor in NYC. Michael Bloomberg put money into the city council. So the city council would change the law so mayors could vote for run for third terms. After Bloomberg won the third term, he had the city council re-vote on it and change it back to 2 terms so no one else could have a third term if Michael Bloomberg had a third term. So that's, to get back to my point, his third term run is the first time ever I said I need to protest this. This third term should not be. And so I didn't vote at the top of the ticket. Now I wonder if I should have, I struggle, having grown. It's been, Jesus, what is it? It's been over 10 years now. I was in my early 20s then. Probably should have just voted for Bill Thompson as the protest vote. But he wasn't a very good candidate either. As the Dem candidate. But I couldn't. And, that's how serious this is. I've never done that before. I can't let a billionaire run away with this stuff. Whatever you think of Hillary, whatever you think of Obama, whatever you think of Kerry, whatever you think of these guys and girls and women, it's not anywhere near who Bloomberg is. It's a completely different ballgame, and I want people to understand that. Let me go back to the comments. I feel like I should have given that to the first half. Should have made sure people who are listening to the first half listen to that one. Oh well. That's why you guys get special treatment, right? That's why you get to hear stuff no one else hears, right? What do we got here? We got I'll go another 15-20 minutes and then we'll call it a night. Ryan, Ratface and Klobu Chair seems determined to go over the cliff together so long as they can fight whilst they do it. Vispa says Kloby seems to think she can win the race by making cringy zingers. Brian says that debate gave me a semi-eggplant emoji, which we all know what that means. Shayna says, how about that debate? Dinah says, I thought the debate was tomorrow, so I'm watching the replay now. First part was gloves off all around. Shayna says, doomed. Sherbert says, Bloomberg assures we're doomed. Yes, correct. Vispa says, Bloomberg killed it, and by that I mean his campaign. Evil Zoe from Periscope, our resident Bolivian bot, since the episode a few weeks ago. I think Bloomberg is undeniably the best possible candidate we got. Lord Arion says, Liz Warren cucked Michael Bloomberg. She did great in that first half, for sure. Ektor says, Boomberg. Shayna, Sharkbait Bloomberg. Dank Uger says it was pro-Graps and the tag team of Warren and Bernie ran wild on them. Yes, right. The Mega Powers! Francis Zek says, in the arena of ideas. Ryan says, hell yeah, it was rage in a cage tonight. Dragon Slayer says, super surprised that fake Zoe is a Bloomberg booster. Justin, who do you think won tonight? Warren took the first half, Bernie took the second half. It'll be interesting to see if Warren gets a boost in the polls. Bernie will clearly retain his frontrunner status. Nothing took him down tonight. Eugene says, thanks for your Bloomberg coverage. No problem. Shayna says, yeah, if tonight's debate had been the rule all along, we'd be down to 2, maybe 3 candidates right now. Naveen says, good research on Bloomberg, dog. Thank you. Brian, that was beautiful. Bloomberg got eviscerated. Evil Zoe says, Bloomberg was the clear winner. So charismatic. Did you hear how he even employs women? Alexander says, how gross is your wall that you thought this was the better option? I like the void in the background in my white chair. My new white chair. It's just a plain white wall. And there's a children's stroller hanging on the door behind me. I mean, you could see the earlier Doomed live stream episodes right on the... You could see what's behind me in the earlier Doomed live stream episodes. It's just sort of dull, to be honest with you. I'm in a corner of my apartment. My 2 children are sleeping 2 doors down in the bedroom. We live in a 1-bedroom, so they're both in the bedroom with us. So I'm in a corner of my small New York City apartment in Queens, New York. And trust me, the void here, much better than the dull, just plain white wall behind me with a stroller hanging in the background that I have to take down whenever I do the live stream. Ektor says, I'd totally vote for Warren if all I ever saw of this election was this debate. Sherbert says, Bloomberg purchased his way into that debate stage. Brian says, honestly, I think Warren's going to get a bump from calling him out on the NDAs. Right, but how much is the question, I guess? Because I think Bernie Sanders supporters are pretty clear they're staying with Bernie at this point. So where is Warren's bump going to come from? I mean, if Bernie loses a percentage point, it wouldn't be completely shocking. But he's like, what is it? Double digits now ahead of most of these candidates in most of these polls. Ian says there were some yummy Amy Pete moments. Yes, there were. Vispa said, my Republican father thought positively about Bernie. That made me happy. Interesting. Francis Zek says Bill O'Reilly was defending Mike on Twitter. Shayna says, I like a little debating in my debates so we can debate the debaters debating strategies. M. Hun says, Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump won tonight. Tyler says, preach, Matt. What the fuck was that delegate shit? Misha says, that was the worst part. Hellam says, yay, been waiting for the Binder post show on this one. Fucking blood sports in this debate, finally. Ektor says, Bernie is going to be a madhouse, and I'll be on the front line. Milwaukee is going to be a madhouse, and I'll be on the front line. Dank says that's how Donald Trump becomes president for the rest of our lives. Right. The Dem Party is, if the person who doesn't have the most delegates doesn't win the nomination, there's going to be a real problem. There's going to be a mutiny, unlike anything the Dem Party has seen in modern history. That's not a threat. That's literally what's going to happen. It is a legitimate analysis of what's going to happen. That's the situation you're going to see. It will almost assuredly give the general election win to Donald Trump. It might actually splinter the party for good. Chris, Bernie thought the opposite 4 years ago. Wonder why? Well, 4 years ago, the superdelegates actually already declared who they were pledging to. That's the difference. The superdelegates were in play throughout the entire primary last time around. That's the big difference. Anyone who is trying to point out that there's some sort of other difference. I mean, obviously, yes, Bernie was losing last time. But no, the major difference is superdelegates already pledged. They were in play now. That's not the case with the new rules, where they can't pledge until after the primaries and all the delegates are accounted for. Secret Zella says, to be fair, Sanders said the opposite thing last election. Yes, I just addressed that. Yep, but you didn't see that. That's fine. Zoe, I love that Crash t-shirt. Recently discovered them, and oh my fucking god, I love them so much. Penis Envy is quickly becoming one of my favorite albums ever. They're a great band. I think my favorite song by them is probably Mother. But I have a lot of songs of them I like. With these hands says, yes, they admitted Bernie's going to win. Excuse me. Dank says the money's going to run dry. Vispa said, Klobuchar had so many cringe-inducing clips. Holy shit. Yeah, she loves her corny zingers, right? But of course, there was also the not knowing the president of Mexico. And of course, that vote that Buttigieg brought up about making English the official language of America. Ooh. Ian says, for this battle, I hope Bernie gets all the delegates in Nevada. Arkanoy says, hey, Matt, loved you at the Bell House. Thank you. Thank you. Lord Ariane says, Bloomberg got his wig split. Ian says that Bloomberg Pinata game they showed earlier looked fun. Vispa says, just followed you. Helm says, Bloomberg looks like Trump up there. I'm voting blue no matter who, but Bloomberg is not a blue vote. Chris says, you mean the third term he bought? Yep. Sherbert says, my partner drives while being brown. It's a thing that can get you arrested. Right? Sherbert says, Bloomberg is a horrid human being. Political Shrek says, Bloomberg got wrecked. Sherbert says, amazing that the boomers who benefited from progressive policies are now the folks fighting progress. Gerardo says, nice to hear. Really appreciate the work you were putting into this. Dank says, good work, Matt. Dank says, super producer Matt Binder. Thank you. Oh, starting to feel tired, folks. Gonna have to wrap it up soon. Salami says Gabbard needs to drop out and endorse Sanders now. Yeah, he could use that 1 to 3% that she's got. Vinay says Bloomberg only decided to run after Epstein was suicided. Excuse me, I gotta. Geez, the cough and the runny nose now at once. Excuse me. Synthetic Rebellion says Bloomberg would probably be better than Trump. Listen, I said that, but it would be a very hard choice. Not choices in Bloomberg or Trump. It'd be a very hard choice to pull that lever for Bloomberg. Obviously, not voting for Trump under any circumstances. It would be Bloomberg or write-in. Or Bloomberg not vote at all. I mean, knowing me, I'd probably end up doing it. Because I understand the threat that Trump poses. But we'd be really... I say this primary and how Bloomberg's running in it has been uncharted territory. This would be uncharted territory times 1,000. Times 300, what is it? 30 billion. Or whatever Bloomberg's worth again. Not 300. 30 billion, I believe. Hallam says Bloomberg is the only one that might not be a lesser evil. Imagine a competent Trump. On certain issues, yeah. But there's a lot of issues where no. I mean, Bloomberg's not Trump directly. He on climate, on immigration. Again, I told you where Bloomberg certainly isn't good on those things, but he's definitely better than Trump on those. But it would be rough, I'm telling you. Listen, I don't want you guys to think that on like immigration and climate and things like that, there's Bloomberg and Trump are the same. It's just not true. Let's not delude ourselves. We need to, while we criticize, we need to also establish ourselves in the facts here. The question is, would he be fundamentally better on the other things? And then the new threat that he poses about buying himself the presidency. I mean, we can focus on things like that without making dumb attacks, I think. Vispa said Bloomberg getting booed over the NDA thing was great. Lord Everyone says Bloomberg said that communism isn't the way, right? Carol says, why didn't Biden do anything in his 8 years? Dank says, I thought all the Democrats went at Bloomberg a lot tonight. They all did except for Buttigieg. Lauren says, Bloomberg's run is already a slap in the face to the Democratic base, right? Sherbert says, thank you for all you do, Matt. Bartleby says, I'm going to be a Binderling. Thank you, guys. Sherbert says MSNBC closed Bernie out of the conversation for the most part tonight, right? I gotta read this username over on the Twitch feed that I'm also streaming at. It's the same show. I'm just multi-streaming on different platforms. Turd Slammer says, yo! Hallam says, Bernie is the only risk worth taking in this field of candidates. He's our best chance. Do not underestimate the fact that he might lose to Trump. He's just our best hope and the right response. I don't know about that either, though. I don't think he's going to lose to Trump. DD says, Trump is going to crush any of them. Seriously, no contest. I don't think so. Vispa says MSNBC cut Bernie off multiple times. It's pathetic how petty they are towards him. Vispa says, LOL, Bernie will beat Trump. I've been placing bets left and right with my right-wing family, provided he's the candidate. I'm going to make a mint. Champagne Kami says, I expect Bloomberg's poll numbers to start going down. Yeah, we have to pay attention to those TV ads, man. Helen, Bloomberg is as good as claiming an Obama endorsement in his ads, right? Sherbert says DNC is required to pass the nomination to Bernie if he sweeps the delegate threshold. Yes, but if he doesn't, and he still has... If he has the most delegates but doesn't hit that threshold, then it's anyone's game according to the rules. Champagne Kami says, the people that see his ads were supporting him because of them also saw the debate tonight and he looked terrible. I think a good chunk of that support took a hit tonight. Vespa says, Matt, you've got to release the videos you have ASAP to combat his momentum. I know what I'm doing, trust me. He's not up for a single vote until Super Tuesday. Shayna says, I don't like Amy, but the way Pete dogged her wasn't cool. He overplayed his hand. I said it before, I'm saying it again. I don't think tonight's going to go in the favor of Buttigieg the way he thought it was. He was incredibly condescending to Sanders, to Klobuchar. There's a way to criticize people and attack people on policy and views and beliefs, and Buttigieg took it overboard in terms of how he was doing it. Mason says, damn, gotta go download Skype now. I'm going to close the Skype. It's too late for calls. It's cool that we didn't do it. We'll get there next time. Excuse me. DD, who seems to be our right-wing troll tonight, is claiming that Donald Trump's crowds dwarf everybody's. Not Bernie's. I mean, I'm sure they're comparable probably. But then again, Trump's an incumbent and Bernie is not. Would be the challenger. So Trump should have a much bigger audience. But I would say their audiences are pretty comparable. If anything, Bernie's might be bigger in some areas. Vespa says, I love how Trump is fronting like he'd like to run against Sanders, weeks after the secret recording saying that Bernie was the one he was most worried about in 2016. Wrong. And I should do a YouTube video on this separately so people get this. Trump is not promoting, quote unquote, Bernie Sanders online in his Twitter feed and all that because he wants to run against Bernie. Trump's campaign knows that's going to be the attack on Bernie. The Trump proclaiming that Bernie is going to get that the primaries are rigged against Bernie and Bernie's going to get screwed over just like he did in 2016. That's what Trump is saying. He's saying that to cause division. It's not because he wants to face Bernie. It's because he knows it's a divisive tactic. It's divisive rhetoric. It's going to cause infighting in the Democratic Party. And time after time, mainstream Democrats and centrists and moderates play into his hand and feed right into it. They fall for it hook, line, and sinker. That's what that is. I'll get more in depth with it another time. Maddie says, what if LeBron James joined the race? Would you vote for the king? I don't think LeBron James would do very well. I don't think there's an opening for him in this race. Shayna says, Warren failed because her inner Republican took over. She couldn't explain that taxes would go up under Medicare for all, but people would save money overall. That's all on her. Vadim Stream said, I would call in trying to figure out my Skype password. Oof. Sorry, buddy. Mitridate says, Warren was on the warpath. Off the Hook says Pete is a con man for the top 10%. As a former member of the PMC, I see it as clear as day. Halam says Warren tanked the second she backed down on Medicare for All. Then she snaked Bernie and her numbers fell off a cliff. Why is she such a bad candidate? Disappointing. DD, our resident right-winger tonight, says, I think Bernie would give Trump the closest run for his money, but it wouldn't happen. Dems won't allow. Interesting, coming from someone who's openly not a Democrat in our comments section tonight. Vispa says, the deer in the headlights look Bloomberg had was amazing. Hunter says, this dude also said, talking about Bloomberg, fortunately, I've made a lot of money. That dude needs to get out of this primary. Right. I went over this. He doesn't know how to be a Democratic candidate. He doesn't know. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand how to do it. Helm says, Warren's still number 2 for me. Horrible campaigner, though. Mason says, Amy hating Pete so much has to be my favorite parts of both of the last debates. Champagne Kami says, Amy seemed genuinely hurt by Pete. Excuse me, I got the sniffles in my nose. I gotta bring a tissue next time. She wouldn't last a second with Trump. Miss Heathen, while at the Washington Bernie rally, actor Tim Robbins grouped communism with fascism and Nazis. That's dumb. I didn't even know to see that. If that's true, that's ridiculous. We defeated the Nazis and the fascists in World War II thanks to the communists. Are you kidding me? Don't let them do that. I understand Bernie can't, because unfortunately these words still have some weight to them in this country. But we shouldn't let people rewrite history. Okay? That's ridiculous. We wouldn't have defeated the Nazis if it wasn't for the Soviets. I mean, we came in, and basically it was the Soviets who were practically the only ones who were putting up any sort of resistance to the Nazis. I mean, they fought them back. Are you kidding me? Just ridiculous. The Russia stuff has gotten insane. Dee says, I'm an electrician and work is booming right now. I made more money last year than I ever have had, and tax is great as well. Well, that's good for you. How is your health insurance? Have you had to use it? Because I feel like if something, God forbid, happened to you, I think you wouldn't feel like things were booming with deductibles, high deductibles, and possibly even your insurance fighting you with paying for this stuff. Rad Dad says Bernie or Bastille. Dragon Slayer says, I love that empowering workers is apparently the thing that will lose it to Trump, according to Bloomberg. Sherbert says, This election is about allocation of taxes. Do we give billionaires tax breaks or provide housing? Grim says Bernie or Block. Omi says, dude, you're in New York. You didn't need to vote for Hillary. Right, but I felt like it was the right thing. I needed to vote for who I felt was going to be the person who could defeat Trump. And obviously there was only one candidate who could have possibly defeated Trump, and it was Hillary. So I felt like I needed to do that. I wasn't one of those people. I feel like if you were in a swing state, you should have done that. But I wasn't one of those people who said that if you weren't in a swing state, you should do it anyway. But for me personally, that is how I felt. I needed to do that. I wouldn't have been able to live with myself, to be honest with you, if I didn't do that. I for all my Hillary criticisms, she would have been a much better president than Donald Trump. It's just not debatable, to be honest. I'm sorry. It's just not debatable. If anything, because of the Supreme Court. I mean, when it comes down to it, that's my number one concern. The Supreme Court. It's the thing that would make me possibly resign to pulling that lever for Bloomberg if I had to. It would be the hardest decision in my life. And there's a possibility for Bloomberg I wouldn't do it. But the Supreme Court would be weighing so heavy on my head, man. With RGB, the age she is, the Supreme Court's got me worried, man. I think we do not pay enough attention to that being the number one issue when it comes down to it for the presidential election, to be honest. And that's why I want Bernie to win, because I know he could beat Trump, and I know he would pick great Supreme Court justices. Man. Tim says, can I donate to you in V-Bucks? I don't know what those are. Maybe I do, and I'm having a mental block right now, to be honest, because I'm tired. Mirror says, sup, Matt? What's up, Mirror? Sunday Nista. People worry about Trump not letting go of power. Bloomberg literally did that at NYC. Erin says, I doubt Joe Biden could ever beat Trump. Sanford says, have you read the current affairs article on Bloomberg? I have not. It's on my list of things to read, though. Tom says, I wonder if AMLO knows who Amy Klobuchar is. Who knows? Probably. Maybe not. Who knows? Dissident Peasant. Greetings, man. It's your boy Jeff in Georgia. What's up? Dunning-Kruger effect says, get some rest. You're looking like you don't feel well. I'm good right now. Sean says, why is Joe Biden still running? Let him run right now, to be honest. I think all these people running right now just helps Bernie right at this point, to be honest. Maybe the only person who doesn't is Warren, but I'm not even convinced on that, to be fair. Let's keep it as it is right now till we get to Super Tuesday. That's how I feel, I think. Arrow says, I'm going for Bernie, but Warren is very strong also. And then Kruger says, dude, get some rest. Love you for real. Appreciate your work. Tiberius says, yo, what's good, brother? I'm good. Paul says, I think Dems have to look at 2024 at this stage, but what do I know? No, because it's not the case. Basic says, do you think Warren went too scorched earth? No, because I think she did it on the right person. I think you could go scorched earth with Bloomberg in this. You can't do it on anyone else. I think that's where Buttigieg got carried away. He saw them going scorched earth on Bloomberg, and he did it at Sanders and Klobuchar, and that's not, it came off bad. Fartface says, hi. Say it back. Hi, Fartface. Mr. K, Bloomberg is closer to fascism than even Donald Trump. Racist, authoritarian, passive eugenics for the elderly, friends with Lord Rothschild and David Rockefeller, blames 2008 on ending redlining. I mean, he's an authoritarian for sure. And I don't want him to be the nominee. I don't think he's Trump. It's close. On a lot of things, yeah. But there are issues where he is a sliver better than Trump. And that sliver matters to some people who are affected by that sliver. So, Frederick says, Bloomberg isn't a bigot. He's an equal opportunity, arrogant, insulting condescender. Right. Right. Very funny. TK says, Denmark is trending on Twitter. Half of it is about how Pete walked into a rake. The other half is about how actually Denmark is capitalist, so we should reject Bernie for advocating their policies. That was the funniest thing. That I could not believe Buttigieg brought up Denmark. Like, Bernie looked like he was about to turn into the Hulk at that point. Like, my God. What an unattended assist. He just threw that up in the air for Bernie to just dunk. My God. Wesley says, Pete knows who AMLO is. Pete wants to invade Mexico, right? Uncle Andy says, thank you, good work. Vispa says, thank you for all you do, Matt. Have a great evening. And the final. Shayna says, all billionaires are fash by default. And the final comment of the night from a Clockwork Black. Could you imagine Bernie or AOC campaigning for Bloomberg? No, I cannot imagine it, which is why we probably shouldn't let it happen. Folks, see you all Saturday night on the post-Nevada Caucus show. See you all next time on Doomed!